May 1st through 10th, Bitcoin astrology looks good overall, while the macro looks terrible. All right. So here's the Bitcoin chart. We are seeing a little bit of a dump right now, not a major dump, just some volatility. We're definitely expecting volatility, especially looking at the astrology. Let's take a look at the astrology. Okay, so we are seeing a couple negative aspects. We're seeing the Mars square, the MC of Bitcoin. That ends on May 2nd. While simultaneously, we're seeing a positive aspect start now, and it will climax around May 16th. Uranus, sextile Uranus of Bitcoin. We see today a negative Venus square Bitcoin Saturn. But then we also see some positives. One thing is we're seeing Pluto is going to station retrograde on May 2nd, coming up very soon. So is this volatility also showing up because of this Pluto retrograde that's going to happen very soon? A lot of times, even before the retrograde happens or an astrological transit happens, sometimes we can feel it a couple weeks in advance. So perhaps Bitcoin's already feeling this or reacting to this to some degree. When Pluto stations retrograde, historically, I have looked at the history of Bitcoin with Pluto retrogrades, and historically there's usually a dampening effect on the Bitcoin chart. So usually there's a bit of a dampening pressure to the Bitcoin chart. There's a bit of a contraction energy. There have been some times when the market's pumped during a Pluto retrograde, so it's not true every time, but I'd say overall, for the majority of the time, Pluto gives a dampening effect. So that is a bit bearish. However, we also have these positive aspects that are coming in. Like on the 6th, we have Mars sextile Bitcoin Saturn. Then we have, some positive Venus aspects. But then around the 10th, we have kind of four negative aspects coming up here. So it does get it does get bearish in the middle of May for the most part. Yeah. We also see, we're going to see on the 17th, this is pretty major. Jupiter is transiting into a new sign. It's transiting into 0 degrees of Taurus. It's entering Taurus. Historically, we see a major market shift then, okay? So are we going to see a major dump around the 17th or a major pump? It can go either way. It's tough to guess. It's tough to predict exactly which directions it's going to go. But I do get more information. I get more intuitions. I get more downloads closer to the event. So I will keep you guys updated on the energies that I'm seeing when we head closer to the 17th. Since we do see Mars around that time opposite Jupiter, that is most of the time negative. So could we see a dump? That is a definite possibility. All right, what else do we want to look at today? So the macro looks terrible. So here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone on these two, major pumps here. Dare we say very bullish this year. And at the same time, what are we seeing? Banks collapsing. We're seeing the First Republic Bank collapsing, and potentially JP Morgan's going to buy it up because they are basically insolvent. Let's look at some of the macro. So the DXY, the dollar index, is staying above 100 here. We might have set a new low there, but it didn't hold below that. So we're just hanging out here. Be interesting to see how long we hang out above the 100 area. Let's look at the U.S. government bonds. We are just staying up here. As long as these bond, the 10-year yield is up at these levels up here, like it's just putting major pressure on the macro economics, on companies. It's harder for them to get affordable loans at lower rates. And then here's the Fed funds rate. As you can see, the Fed funds rate has far surpassed, let's see, ever since of November of last year, the Fed funds rate is far surpassed the 10-year yield. That is potentially very scary. And it looks like the Fed funds rate looks like they are going to hike rates, most likely by May 3rd, on May 3rd. There's still an 87% chance, and this has been quite accurate. These percentages, these statistics here from the CME group. So I believe the markets have already priced this in. So we probably are not going to see any major surprises unless the Fed incredibly changes their mind. Would they change their mind with the First Republic Bank collapsing? Maybe, but we will see. It just intuitively, I don't think so, but that would be very interesting if they paused. And if they did pause, we could see the markets and we could probably see Bitcoin pump. Do I see that happening in the astrology on the 3rd? I don't see anything specifically that points towards a pump on the 3rd. You know, we are seeing this positive aspect. This is on May 4th. That gets a direct hit on May 6th. So that's after. Could we see a pump after May 3rd? Possibly. Possibility. You can't say that's not. Can't say that can't happen because we do have this positive aspect on the 6th. But we also get this Pluto stationing retrograde. I mean, that's kind of a very macro. I mean, Pluto has an extremely wide orbit, so it kind of has an effect, like a very macro effect on things. I wouldn't expect a major market shift when Pluto stations retrograde, but an overall dampening effect, like I said before. You know, we do get more negative aspects around the 9th. But that is, I don't see any specific thing that points towards a pump on the 3rd. So it's looking like most likely, especially with these statistics, the Fed is going to hike rates again. And let's look at oil real quick. I mean, oil is just hanging out here. All right, oil is just pausing out. But yeah, I mean, overall macro looks quite terrible. So it's interesting. Like normally I would look at the Bitcoin astrology and say, you know, there's nothing too negative. Like this is looking overall pretty positive. Besides kind of the beginning of the month towards around the 20th, we could definitely see a dump around the 20th. But maybe nothing too major. I will send you more updates when we get closer to the 20th and when we get closer to when Jupiter transits into Taurus, which is big, a big shift. Anyways, I'll make future videos looking further out. But it's interesting that things look overall positive from the, say, May 1st through the 9th or to the 10th. Normally I'd be pretty bullish, yet the macro is looking quite ominous. It's like these dark clouds are kind of over us and like on the horizon, and it's looking really dark with the macro, but then the astrology is like, astrology is looking pretty good, like pretty neutral or and positive. However, we do have kind of a wild card on the 6th. That's when we get the lunar eclipse. And that we could definitely see like a major dump potentially. It is possible that we see a pump too. So, I mean, I don't see any particular direction that the astrology is pointing to right now, because we get this very positive aspect on May 6th, which is the same day of the lunar eclipse. So based on the astrology, we actually get a positive aspect during that eclipse on the 6th. So, I mean, according to the astrology, I would say that if I just base it off the astrology, it's looking positive. So could we see a pump on the lunar eclipse? It's tough to say, because we also, lunar eclipses can be a wild card as well, especially because it's activating Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of unpredictability. So, sorry guys, but I cannot predict a specific direction for this lunar eclipse. All right, we could go either way. So it could be a good time to be cautious, to not make any crazy leaps, major decisions. Yeah, this is not the right time to make like a crazy leap of faith or a crazy bet. Yeah, this is not a time to bet the whole farm on anything. You know, we're seeing a lot of volatility. So expect volatility. All right, guys. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below in the comments box below. And of course, this is not financial or investment advice. This is astrology. All right, so let me know what videos you guys would like me to make in the future. Much love to you. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Make sure to subscribe so you can see my next video when it comes out. All right, I'm doing videos on the Bitcoin astrology, and so far I've been 92% accurate with my predictions, and you can watch my video that goes over that and gives proof of that. All right, much love guys. I will see you on the next one.